All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Wakar Kadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew.
Probably was upstairs.
Yeah.
Probably was upstairs.
It was him. You wasn't smoking no weed. But Aunt smelled that. That boy had that blue fire that there. I know it was good.
And once again, the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. Belash Mokadash Lutang, and I said Barakathon to the elders and apostles, Ma'akim, Ma'akwaf, and I said Shalom. And this is a sit down lesson of the prophecy updates as of December 26, 2025, on this Friday morning. And it says Putin warns Bush against dragging Ukraine into NATO. U.S. record reports. The Russian leader said in 2008 it could be a led.
How's your card?
Oh,
How's the type like that?
oh, that was.
I don't know the code.
Right.
I don't know. It ain't 07, 11, any 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it is easier that way. Just tap it, so you don't have to worry about all that typing all that code and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm glad they made it that way. It's easy and convenient. Just tap like this.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, just going about your business. You don't have to worry about like swiping it and then typing the code. Just type it. Tap it. Just that easy.
Yeah.
You don't see that type of movement. Ironically, Jalen Hurts has a similar one. Very often, without being talented and incredible work ethic, I think what's letting down the Bills right now is the skill players on the perimeter. But if it's really about quarterback right now, as much as they can.
It says the Russian leader said in 2008 it could lead to a long-term conflict with Washington, according to the transcript of the talks. So ever since then, definitely been seeing tensions between NATO and NATO and the West. Especially European and America. They've been having on and off conflicts back and forth. So that was a true statement. As it says again, the Russian leader says in 2008 that it could lead a long-term conflict with Washington, according to the transcripts of the talks. Putin warns Bush against dragging Ukraine into NATO, because you do got NATO as an ally of Ukraine. So dragging them into war, that is true. So that been taking place from 2008 and all the way to now. Especially we've been seeing the ongoing back and forth, up and down tensions between NATO and the Western countries, that as well too, and the European Union, the Western countries, they've been having on and on back and forth tensions. They still allies though, but they definitely been having an up and down relationship throughout the years recently. What's that's we so used to hearing about that, seeing about that too as well, especially until now. As you've been seeing, the European Union and NATO, they might have some type of division, but they still allies at the end of the day, because their main target is still Russia. That's why you have the European Union, NATO versus Russia. And then you got Belarus and Russia together going against the European Union, NATO, and the Western countries. So these are signs of wars or rumors of wars between the Edomite nations. That's why it says in St. Mark the 3rd chapter, if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. And that's what we're seeing. It says small hats cannot be barreled from setting in West Bank, Israel has reported. And this was a recent strike yesterday, because we've been having a lot of persecution of the Christians over there in Nigeria throughout the years recently. And then you had the president of the United States order a barrage of missile strikes against the ISIS groups over there, for kidnapping Nigerian Christian civilians over there in the area. It says December 26, 2025, and it reads, it says Nigeria comments on U.S. airstrikes. According to the officials, Abuja, the military operation in Sokoto state, was conducted in line of international law. It says U.S. strikes targeting Islamic groups, organizations in northwestern Nigeria was conducted as part of a structured security cooperation with Washington. In West Africa, the country's government has confirmed, though Abuja has previously rejected any unilateral military interventions on its soil. So it seemed like they kind of didn't like the idea that the United States did an airstrike on those groups, or that organization group that they used airstrikes on for they was persecuting Christians over there. It says the Western country's government has confirmed that Abuja has previously rejected any unilateral military intervention of its soil. It says in a statement on Friday, Nigerian Foreign Minister spokesperson Abu Nifa said in a bilateral agreement including intelligence sharing, strategic coordinations, any other forms of support in line with international law and mutual respect for sovereignty. The U.S. President Donald Trump announced a series of strikes against the state militants, including Boko Haram in Nigeria on Christmas Day, following weeks of threats of the Abuja alleged failures to address the unaliving of Christians, right, Nigerian Christians. It says that Trump did not specify the intent of the damage caused of the assaults in Sokoto, if I pronounced that right. The U.S. Africa Command confirms the operations was carried out in coordination with Nigerian authorities. It says securities of War Pete Hegseth promised more attacks to come. It says last month, Nigeria dismissed the Trump administration claiming that the Christians were being persecuted stiffly, stating that the insecurities affects people of all faith. The government also insists that an internal assistance aims to address the crisis must respect the country's sovereignty. In an exclusive interview with RT Friday, Daniel Baliwal, spokesperson of Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, and said Abuja welcomes the recent U.S. military strikes since they were conducted jointly with the government. Our agreement with the United States, we don't need American troops on the ground. Nigerian soldiers are capable of dealing with the situation with the right equipment and the right intelligence, he said, adding that the terms could be reviewed if the needed arise. Speaking to the RT, Greg Simmons of journalism, a professor of Delhi International University, believes
I gotta relax.
Absolutely.
So we ain't trying to touch that 20, huh?
Sure, they know.
You got that from that people down the street for real?
Yep, down the street for real, yep.
The rest on the car.
No, I got the 20 in my wallet. Yep.
I was gonna get no top hit because I ain't know how to do the thing. By the time I got the switch, I could have got the switch. I could have got the top hit. I'm like, damn. But yesterday, because I ain't know the code and I ain't know how to. The dude said, "There's top on it." He said, "There's top on it." I'm like, huh? I did. It just went through. Damn. Then I was realizing I walked down the street, I was like, damn, so they got me some top hit.
Right. Yeah, how much top package cost?
So it's a guess it's $2 too. If you make it 12.
Yeah. Get some taco. Yeah.
Thank you, man. You the best brother I got. You and me.
Yeah.
That'd be 12. I'll be right back.
It says he argued that they may also be part of a humanity project for Trump, who is reportedly being considered for the Nobel Peace Prize. It's the most compromised prize in history, someone said, pointing out that Trump has started enough wars to bolster his candidacy. Instead of Matthew's, the 24th chapter. So potentially, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he's saying that potentially more potential strikes might occur over there in Nigeria because of the persecution of the Christians over there in Nigeria. To to be part, help the Nigerian Association to help them out to tackle the Islamic groups over there in Nigeria. So we're going to see how that plays out. So potentially, he was saying Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, saying that more airstrikes is going to be more on the way if more assistance needed from from the affiliates of Nigeria. So we're going to see how that plays out. So this is an indicator what you call wars or rumors of wars. Matthews 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, so these are signs of wars and rumors of wars that we see in the tensions heating up between Russia and Ukraine, an ongoing situation. We're seeing, other tensions heating up between the nations. You're seeing over there in the Middle East, which is in Western Asia, you still got the pro-Iranian groups still going against the Israel Defense Force throughout the Middle East, throughout Western Asia. So these are indicators that we're seeing, back and forth, up and down, wars or rumors of war between the nations. It says you should hear of wars or rumors, right, with those recent airstrikes from the United States over there in Nigeria, targeting the Islamic groups. That's what you call signs of wars or rumors of wars. And ye should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but it's not yet. It's like a week and a half ago, the United States did a retaliation strike against the ISIS group over there in Syria. Other response, those 3 soldiers was unalive like 2 weeks ago. So those are signs of wars, rumors of wars. It says, ye should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but it's not yet. Right, so it's going to come to pass, but it's not going to end just yet. So on a daily basis, we're going to be seeing wars and rumors of wars increasing. Matthews 24 and verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, which goes into ethnos. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There should be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, so we're going to be seeing famines and pestilence, plagues, and earthquakes in diverse places, and that's what we're seeing on a daily basis. This is Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth. Disgressive nations will perplex, see rich born. Right, so we see the disgressive nations will perplex, see rich born, which that's only going to continue to increase. So we see in the signs in the sun and the moon, the Heavenly Father, only begotten Son, Yahushua, showing us. And on top of that, disgressive nations will perplex, see rich born, which is increasing a lot of uncertainty among the nations, rising against one another. And then you got the famines and pestilent plagues and the conditions that's going on in the world today that's leading to biblical prophecies. So that's only going to continue to increase. And this is the book of St. Mark, chapter 3 and verse 24. It says, and if a kingdom be divided, still the kingdom not stand. Right, so we seeing the Edomite nations are being divided, despite the fact they might be long-term allies, but we seeing the division between the Edomite nations. It says, and if a kingdom be divided, still the kingdom not stand. Right, so if a kingdom be divided, still the kingdom not stand. St. Mark, chapter 3 and verse 24. It says, verse 25, and if a house be divided, still the house cannot stand. Right, so the house of Edom is being divided. Verse 26. It says, and if Satan rise up itself, be divided, cannot stand to have an end. Right. So we're seeing Satan rise up itself, be divided, cannot stand to have an end. And that's what we're seeing. It's the prophet Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near them to come up. Right, so let all the men of war draw near them to come up as they're being gathered over there in Western Asia. As we see, the tensions only going to escalate between the pro-Iranian groups and the Israel Defense Force. And all those proxy groups clash against one another. All that's building up to the Third World War. Joel chapter 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the pointy hooks and the spears and let the weak side strong. Right, let the weak side strong. These are armies of nations building up their nuclear capability. Just like NATO and the European Union building up their nuclear capability against Russia. And then Russia building up their nuclear capability. And Belarus building up their nuclear capability against the European Union and NATO and the Western countries. So that's a prime example that we see in let the weak stand strong, and especially these other nations that got nuclear capability that you wouldn't expect to got nuclear capability. And we're seeing the alliance between China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and these weaker nations that you wouldn't expect to have nuclear capability. Now they're building up their nuclear capability, and they teaming up with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. These pro-Iranian groups. The Houthi rebels and all that, they're building up their nuclear capability. Now we're starting to see that the weak side strong going against the Israel Defense Force. And then the tension between Iran versus the Israel Defense Force that's been heating up. Iran building up their nuclear capability with their allies with, China and, and Russia building up their nuclear capability. Going against the Israel Defense Force. They let the weak side strong. And that's what we're seeing. It says another news article of Wars or Rumors of Wars from RT.com. It says December 26, 2025, and it reads, the European NATO nations openly prepare for war. Belarus's defense minister, that's the spirit I just talked about that. Next thing you know, it just showed up. Yeah, so we definitely gonna be seeing, NATO and the European Union together going against Russia and Belarus because the tensions have been heating up throughout the years and recently, So these are signs of wars, rumors, wars, despite the fact Moscow have been denying the ports, denying that they are not trying to have no tensions against NATO and European Union. But Vladimir Putin, what was like a couple of weeks ago, he openly said that if they are provoked, he will defend. He will defend his allies. That's and his allies is Belarus. So Russia and Belarus together, they signed a deal, I would say like last year, 2 years ago. And then that recent announcement of Vladimir Putin was announcing that he's going to deploy those Ocean missiles over there, I believe, end of this year to Belarus. So that shows that what signs, what mindset of the arms nations are in, So this tension between the European Union and NATO versus Belarus and Russia is only going to increase. That's why we're seeing the building up of wars, rumors of wars, despite the fact that reports might not be true or not. But these are signs of wars and rumors of wars, like it says in Matthew's 24th chapter. All right. Damn, that was quick.
Yeah, it's on the funny stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't go through the street lights. I go like, how in the corner right there. I go through the glass.
Oh yeah, it's more that way. Dang. Yeah, we so used to walking on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 12, man.
Oh, okay.
As the home team, and again, I think they'll have such an emphasis on ball security. I just wish their pass rush was average. I feel even better about Buffalo.
I'm going Bears. I just think this offensive line in Chicago, that's
And it says the European nations openly prepare for war. Belarus defense minister says the U.S.-led bloc is building up its forces in the Eastern Europe. Viktor Carlene Collaring has said, if I pronounce his name right, it says the leader of the European nations countries are making no secret of the fact that they are preparing for war against Russia and Belarus. The Belarusian defense minister has said the situation of Belarus' western borders is tense, prompt to radicalization, and difficult. It says the defense minister, who holds the rank of lieutenant general, says a televised interview on Friday at the Belta news agency. It says the actions of the leaders of the neighboring countries are indicating that we don't hide it, that preparation for war are underway. Caroline said that the claim that they are threatened by Russia and, of course, by Belarus.
Yeah, let you go and get some bread, huh?
Oh,
Let me get that shit. I got some gold from the water because it's doing something.
okay. Right.
I'm putting something together.
Mm-hmm.
Get it.
Yeah.
Got that. What else I got? Green. I'll find some shit for it.
Right.
You ain't got to go right now.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna put my big blanket in there. I got to watch this shit over.
Right. It says the actions of the. He said the actions of the leaders of the countries are indicating that they don't hide it. Its preparation for war are underway. Carling said they claim that they are threatened by Russia and, of course, by Belarus. We have a union state that will fight us. It says that Poland, Germany, France, and the Baltic states are all piling to militarize and create a powerful armies. He added, the European NATO nations recently committed to allocation of a 5% of the GDP, which I believe that goes into effect 2026, to their militaries, already suggesting that it is a pre-war budget. Kremlin said the U.S.-led bloc has been upgrading ports and airfields near Belarus and ramping up drills and training, as well as creating a new units and bolstering the forward presence of its troops near the Russian and Belarus borders. He asserted the deployment of nuclear capability, medium-range Russian or Shin missiles in Belarus is a strategic deterrent against it. Karin said, "This is our action to their aggression." It says aggressive actions to their statement. They are going to war with us. He said, "We said there is no need. We don't want to fight. Let's negotiate." On Thursday, Belarusian President Mesko was briefly on the deployment of the Russian missiles in his country. The missile systems and armies with hypersonic IRBMS will enter country duties before the new year, says Russian President Vladimir Putin said last week. It says Russia has been seeking diplomatic resolutions, contradictions, and conflicts long as there is slimmest hope of future success. Putin noted that any lost chances are responsible of those who mistakenly believe that they can use the language force with us. He stressed. Yep, this is the prophet Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men in war draw near, and let them come up. Right, so that's what we're seeing. Tensions heating up over there in Western Asia. The nations are gearing up more and more for war over there in that area. Israel's Defense Force still going to be dealing with a multi-front war, as we've been saying it consistently, even though that's been on and on back and forth, even though I believe they enter in the second phase of the peace deal between Hezbollah and the Israel Defense Force. But you still got tensions heating up over there in that area, over there in Lebanon, cross-border conflicts over there, Golden Heights, Israel, Syria, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Palestinian territory, the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea. So those tensions are only going to continue to heat up over there in the area as we're getting closer to the Battle of Jehoshaphat. Yahweh Shabbat, which is the Heavenly Father's judgment over there in Western Asia. And that's when he's going to sit and judge all the nations over there in the area. As the prophet Joel was mentioned, that the Heavenly Father is going to put that warlike mindset of these are armies of nations, because this is being proclaimed among the Gentiles, which is the armies of the other nations. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war. right? Prepare war, wake up the mighty man, right? The armies of the nations prepare for war. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, right? The armies of the other nations prepare war, wake up the mighty man, right? The Heavenly Father put the spirit on these mighty men of these armies of the nations, wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Yeah, let all the men of war draw near. All the nations over the Battle of Jehoshaphat. And let them come up, right? So they being slowly but surely being gathered over there in Western Asia. Joel 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the pointy hooks at the spears, let the weak sound strong. And that makes perfect sense too, because you think about it. Because Russia, they got military bases over there in Syria. So Russia, Syria, Turkey, and the pro-Iranian groups, the Dragons of Arabia, they're going to settle their differences. They all going to team up together. They're going to be going against the United States armies and the Israel Defense Force armies. Because a couple of weeks ago, the United States was saying they're going to expand more military soldiers deployed in more military bases over there in Syria, because they dealing with those military operations, teaming up with the Syrian Defense Force using military operations against the the Islamic groups over there in Syria. So yeah, that shows that.
See, I got it on that blank. I got it on here. See, I got it on here.
Oh,
See, I got it. I just push it up for here.
yeah. Hey, what's up? Yeah.
It's all I can tell her. Mr. James, now you know you're wrong. Why get in your car and yell something out like that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have told
her
straight up. But you
She
would have did something to me or whatever. She would have did something.
This is Joel chapter 3, verse 10. 1044 call Allah Yabashimashah. This is the prophet Joel chapter 3, verse 10. It says, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plenty hooks and the spears. Let the weak sound strong. Right, let the weak sound strong. So as I mentioned again, you're going to have the pro-Iranian groups. Right. What's that? The pro-Iranian groups, the Dragons of Arabia, the Ishmaelite nations going to be rising against the Israel Defense Force and the United States armies. With all this going to lead up to the Third World War. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Ezekiel the 38th chapter. This is Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth into all thy army, horse and horsemen, all of them cloth for all sorts of armor, great company, buck shields, all of them handling swords. Right, so we're going to see Russia continue to be in that warlike mindset because they represent the bear in Ezekiel 38th chapter. Now, despite the fact it been a lot of reports as of lately, they're not trying to have no confrontation with NATO, but if they're provoked, they're gonna respond back. That's why you have Belarus and Russia are allies, and they signed those recent deals, for the past 2.5 years and recently as well too. And then you've been having on back and forth military building up. I would say the northern flank and the eastern flank over there in Europe, I believe, a military building up from of NATO and Russia as well too. So that shows that the tensions are been heating up between NATO and Russia, and then the European Union and NATO together going against Belarus and Russia. So that been heating up as well too. It says Ezekiel 30 verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and will bring thee forth in all thy army, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed, all sorts of armor, grip, shears. Yep, all buckle hand and shears. Just lock it for a second. Yeah, it's on it was on what's that? It was on you had on medium and then you only had it on hot.
Okay, this hot water.
Yeah, that's hot water,
Yeah. I put some in there.
Yeah, that's hot water. And then you got it on medium.
When you put that cold in right here.
Oh, you say you want it on cold?
Yeah.
If you want it on cold, you have to put it on. Yeah, that's cold.
Right. This hot.
Yeah, that's hot, yeah. You
had to wash with that water in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it should automatically go on cold since it's because you had it on hot at first. Since you wanted it on cold, it's back on cold.
So this hot right
Yeah, that's hot right there.
here, this cold.
Yep, cold. Yep. And then the low size is a medium. Yep. It's the book of Ezekiel. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and verse 5. It says Persia, right? Persia. Because you got Russia as an alliance with Persia as well, too, which is Elam. So you got the alliance between China, Russia, Iran, North Korea as well, too. It says Persia, right? Because you got the tensions are heating up between Iran and Israel Defense Force. Ezekiel 30 verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, right? Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is Kushites are allies of Russia as well too. I believe they recently had a military exercise drill. So you had Russia submarine ships was sailing through Ethiopia and land of Ham. And then you had a military base of Russia over there in Libya as well too. So all this makes perfect sense. That's how Heavenly Father got all this planned out. As the prophet Ezekiel prophesied about, Ezekiel 30 verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, well, all of them will shield of helmet. Right, so Persia of Elam, Ethiopia, Cush, and Libya of Put, all of them with shield of helmet, because they're going to be fully equipped with armor, shield of helmet. So Russia is definitely going to be allies, economical partners, and military partners. Russia, which represents the bear, they're going to be allies with them. Ezekiel chapter 30 verse 6, it says Gomer, right? That's Turkey, modern day Turkey. Because you got military bases of Turkey from Iraq and Syria going against those proxy groups, especially with the recent clashes, because you've been having high talks, I would say like, a couple of days ago, because you had the Syrian Defense Force was targeting the, I think the Turkish armies or the Kurdistan armies, if I'm not mistaken. It says, but they're going to settle their differences because the Kurdish armies going to team up with the Turkish armies. Their main target is going to be the Israel Defense Force and their allies. This is Ezekiel 30 verse 6, Gomer, which is Turkey, and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, all his bands, many people with thee. Ezekiel 38 verse 7, be thou prepared for thyself and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right, so Russia is going to be a guard to these nations, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and Turkey, and the alliance between China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, going against the Western countries. All that's going to lead up to the Third World War. So with that, hopefully this sit down. Salaki for the momentarily pause and all that interruption. So Salaki for that. So hopefully this prophecy update was edifying as of what's that? December the 26th, 2025 on this Friday morning. Once again, so hopefully this was edifying, and Salaki for the interruption with the background scope. So Salaki for that. So hopefully besides all that, so hopefully this sit down lesson was edifying of the prophecy updates as of December 26th, 2025 on this Friday. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakar Kadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, but Akim Akwa. For next time, I would say Shalom.